Welcome to episode 4 of season 2 of the Morrell Speaks podcast. And I'm so excited today to have with me a very special guest who has opened a brand new business in our city. They're doing great. They're accomplishing great things and has been a real motivation to me. Great story. I met him now, I think it might have been 2.5, almost 3 years ago, in a different role. As soon as we met, we shared a unified vision and hit it off and became friends. So today with me, I have the one and only Ty Leming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So, man, I like to start every show off with who is my guest. So who is Ty Leming?
Well, who is Ty Leming? Depends on who you ask on that one. So currently I do serve as President of Caladin Construction, as you mentioned. To tell you kind of a little bit about my background, where I came from, how I got here. I was born at Marion General Hospital here in town. Grew up just outside of town, so I've lived outside of Marion my entire life. My wife graduated high school the same year I did. We've been together since we were 15.
Wow, okay.
So when it came time to settle down, when she graduated college, we decided we were going to stay right here. Good place to raise a family. So we have all 4 of our kids go to the same school that we went to, and she's a teacher at the school we went to as well. So didn't go very far.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So you have Caladin Construction is your business. What was the experience like opening up a new business in Marion?
Well, not just Marion, opening a new business. This is my first time, being a part of starting a new business. So without that entrepreneur background, it's intimidating. You're looking at it and you're like, is this a good move? I just told you I got 4 kids and a wife, so it's like making sure we're making good decisions. But as far as picking Marion, as we were looking at it, most of my career I've worked in Allen County or Marion County. But I've always lived here, just commuted. And as we was looking for, where's home base going to be, right? Because in the construction world, you go to where the projects are at. So we thought Marion was perfect. One, because there's a lot of activity in the area, but also logistically with the Interstate 18, 22. I mean, there's a lot of access to roads, not even the interstate, but across the board. It's a good place to jump from. Excuse me. And that's really what it was. So the owners live close as well, and we picked this as our home.
Yeah. So if you were to give someone else advice, because what I try to do on these podcasts is encourage other people to step out, be successful in whatever they want to do, right? So if you wanted to give someone else some advice who wanted to start a business in Marion, and I like Marion, right? So if someone else wanted to start a business in Marion, what is something that you would advise them to do? Let's do both. What's something you would advise them to do and something not to do?
That's good. One, make sure it's passion driven. I've seen other folks start businesses in all different sectors, and I feel pretty strongly if it's not something that your heart's in, it's probably not going to be something you want to put in those long hours or grind to make it happen. So I'd start with the passion. The second thing is making sure you select a good team to work with. I say all the time, if it was just myself, we wouldn't get very far as a business. I am heavily dependent on the people around us, and that's top down. Everybody helps the business move forward, and the employees are a representation of the business brand itself. So making sure you surround yourself with good people, I think, is the second one, not just trying to fill an open hole, if that makes sense.
So what's something you would not do?
Would not do. That's a long list of things. No, so especially when you're looking at starting a business and picking partners, I didn't think of it this way. Like I said, I didn't have that entrepreneur background. And when the leadership and ownership approached me being a part of it, when you're looking at going to business with this, it's like entering into marriage almost. Like in some areas it might be worse, But no, I mean, making sure you understand when things get tough or when it comes to financial decisions and looking at those things, that everybody kind of is on the same page. It can be tough. Thankfully, we don't have those kinds of problems, but I could see if there was a partnership where it's like one side wants to go one way and the other guy's like, no, let's go this way.
Yeah.
That could be tough to manage.
Yep.
So
your partner. Pick the right partner.
Pick the right partners. That's right.
Man. So construction, right? Caladin Construction. So somebody wants to know what do you got? What do you do when somebody reads that that name Caladin Construction? What is that? What does your business do?
So we are a commercial general contractor. So what does that mean? Excuse me. Really anything from hospitals to public schools, industrial manufacturing facilities. We do anything from renovation work to new construction builds, footings to finish. We don't self-perform as far as our employees. We do sub out to local contractors the electrical work, the plumbing, the mechanical, even the concrete flat work. We sub that out, but we do self-perform all the carpenter scopes. Steel studs, drywall, acoustical ceilings, flooring, cabinet installs, door installs, and then we manage the projects overall. So,
right. So even for me, so when you say commercial, do you guys do any residential stuff too, or strictly commercial?
We do not do any residential work. There's a few reasons for that. First is it's a totally different code book. So when you're looking at building codes, we are licensed and well versed on the commercial side. Those that work in the residential sector, it's really a different market altogether.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
No, we don't do anything in the residential world. I'll tell you, quick, as you talk about starting a new business, fear factor. A lot of times in the construction industry, when you're starting a new business, you kind of have a few key components or key clients. They're like, yeah, when you guys start something, we'll come with you.
Yeah.
When we started this, we didn't have any of that.
Wow.
We didn't have a single client committed. So when we started, before we moved into our property, like I was on my kitchen counter, but we believed in what we were doing. We believed that there was a market here, and you mentioned why Marion. I've lived here my whole life, and there's a lot of tradesmen that come out of Marion. I say a lot of times that the biggest export of the Marion area is our skilled people.
Wow.
As they head to other areas to work, and why not here? But it's felt for a few years that there's kind of this thought that if you wanted to get a premier contractor, you had to kind of run to Allen County or run to Marion County to grab one of those bigger guys. And the owners, as well as myself, we worked for those bigger guys for a long time. And we thought, why couldn't we bring that same experience to some of the smaller scale projects, some of the local projects, the mom and pops, the churches, folks like that. Their projects are important to them. And sometimes when they bring one of those big contractors in, who do they assign to a $2 or $3 million project?
Yeah.
They assign the interns, right?
Yeah.
And so we wanted to bring that kind of that high level project experience to the folks that are here, and you don't have to go north or south to go find them.
Yeah. So now I have a wide variety of listeners, right? So somebody might hear, $2 or $3 million project, they might be thinking that's like a super large project. So, but what from the commercial space, if one of those bigger companies get a $2 or $3 million project, that's like assign your interns to a size project.
So, and I don't want to, again, so my church, we went on a capital funds campaign to do a project. And it was about a $2.5 million project when we did it. And we saved for a decade. Yeah. So when trust me, I understand $2.5 million is big dollars. It's Definitely. Real money. Yeah. Especially when you're looking about, locally owned business or non-for-profits, every dollar counts.
Right.
But yes, when we worked for some of those firms, Brad Knable, one of the owners that works in the office with me, he and I actually met on a project that was about $575 million.
Yeah.
And then I personally have managed projects, anywhere from just small office renovations all the way up to like $150 million.
Yeah, because I know you guys done work for the city for tens of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
You guys are doing works for even the whole wide game, which I really appreciate that, because when you present some commercial contractors with those smaller deals, they're like, we're not getting involved in those small renovation projects. So I really appreciate to have someone here like you guys locally that are willing to do any size, any scale.
No, and it's about relationships, right? We want to make sure that the folks that we're working with know that whether they've got just a small, hey, we got a broken window, can you guys take care of that for us?
Yeah.
All the way up to, hey, we're looking at a $20 million building expansion. You guys want to take care of that? We want to make sure that we don't, because you're exactly right. A lot of times they got to go find someone else, the other guy, for those smaller projects.
Interns, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So how relationships? I talk about that a lot. How do you? What's your how do you build relationships? What do you do?
So, as far as building relationships, I think there's a lot of ways you can do it. in the construction industry, I feel like your brand is only as good as the work and your personal integrity. And I say this a lot, in the construction industry, and I know you get a little bit of knowledge and background in the industry. The industry kind of gets a reputation for being crooks and con artists. And that's the truth. That's what people think sometimes. And unfortunately, there's some within our sector that have earned that reputation. So I think it's important knowing that sometimes clients show up with their guard up, right? Expecting for you to get them on the back end, if you will. I think just being honest, understanding of where they're coming from. I love to collaborate and have dialogue with our clients. If I understand what their needs are, what their vision is, there's a reason they're coming to a professional. If they knew how to build it themselves, they would, right? So if we can help them see what that vision is and bring it into a reality, and be honest about it as we're doing it, I think that's a big help. So that's, we top down, we tell all of our folks that are working with us, the guys and girls that are just starting first year apprentices with us, we tell all of them, like, that engagement with the client. Nobody talks to our clients more than the folks we have on site, right? I mean, they see them all day. I'm in an office doing different things. I visit the site, but they're there 40 hours a week. Just make sure you're courteous, especially on the renovation stuff. Make sure we're cleaning up after ourselves. We communicate with the staff and they know what's up. I think that's a big way to build your reputation.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you're managing a lot of people. You're managing people, and so myself coming from an area that done, most people watching know I grew up in floor covering, right? So this is still in this, construction and trade industry. The people you manage, you're different. This is not like, you're not like white collar managing people. These are hardworking, sometimes rougher individuals. That's right. So how has it been, or what skill set do you use to manage the employees and people that you work with?
So that's funny you say that about, it's a different group of people.
It is, man.
So as I come up through, I've been doing this since I was 18. I started in commercial construction right out of high school, joined the apprenticeship, went through a 4-year program there. But this is what I've done. I mean, I truly started sweeping floors and worked my way up to where I'm at, if you will. Excuse me. But I became a foreman pretty young, like just out of the apprenticeship, if you will. And a lot of the guys that were working for me were, 2-3 times my age at that point, right? And I was working in the steel mills, and that's kind of a rough group to begin with. Like when you're working 12, 14-hour days, 6-7 days a week, like that's a different breed of human there.
Right.
But I learned pretty quick, like it's a dog-eat-dog world. You got to hold your own. But what I learned, though, is people respect. If I don't ask them to put in what I wouldn't put in or put out myself, as long as they know, like, I have myself at the same standard or higher that I'm asking for them, it seems like most people get on board.
Yeah. And then you said at the beginning of the answer, you said something about the apprenticeship. I think it was one of the original things that we connected on, because, if you follow me, and a lot of people have seen that one of my visions is to turn Marion into the trades capital of the state. And growing up in the industry, I know how important and, quite frankly, how much money people can make getting into the trades. So what advice would you give young people watching this, right, who want to work in the trades, or maybe they want to start like you, work their way up through and then eventually own their own construction company? What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self? That's a good way to frame it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, so I've got a 17-year-old son and a 16-year-old son, so I'm kind of going through some of the stuff with them right now. And I thought this might be one of the reasons you picked this week. I don't know if you were aware of this, but this is actually National Apprentice Week.
Oh, hey, shout out. Yeah, I like that.
It is.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is something that the Federal Department of Labor puts on every year, and it's really just kind of an awareness. They put a bunch of media blast stuff out, hashtag Apprentice Week.
Yeah.
So I thought that might have been part of the reason we were on here, but I think a lot of times when you talk about it, it's one thing to have, and I want to make sure I make this clear, you do not necessarily have to go through an apprenticeship to learn a skill, right? Mm-hmm. That's true, because, you can work with somebody and learn how to hang drywall, right? Yeah. And you can work with somebody and learn how to lay floors.
Right.
The advantage, in my opinion, that the apprenticeship brings you is a lot of the credentials and certificates that go with it. Mm-hmm. In the world we live in today, and it's not a bad thing, but insurance and legalities manage a lot of it. So, acquiring a lot of those, your welding certificate, your OSHA certificate, a lot of the different things that are required. I can't send anybody right now to work at GM or at the VA without an OSHA certificate. So they got to have at least a 10-hour.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah.
So those are things that they pick up through the apprenticeship program. So that's where, in my opinion, the reason I think apprenticeship programs are really valuable is the value of the training. You're going to learn how to build stuff by being on site, right? You're not going to learn to become an electrician in a shop. Right. You're going to learn it out on the job site. But picking up all those credentials, I think, is where there's some real value there. We live in an era today where you can find anything on the internet. So if I was talking to an 18-year-old and I'm like, they're like, well, how do I find out about it? Google it. Yeah. Truly, if you're interested in the trades and there's people around that can help you with any, and we got some really good contractors in the area, on the electrical front and other fronts that you could reach out to. We do, so like this summer, we're looking at putting on a couple of juniors in high school that I've already been communicating with that are going to do kind of like a pre-apprenticeship, an internship if you want, work in the field with our guys through the summer and see if it's something they want to pursue the following year when they graduate high school.
That's great, man. And I'm a big encourager of that, man, because Trey, I say this all the time. If all else falls apart, I can still get on my knees and put the floor covering down. And that's something nobody can take away from me, and I'll still be able to make money doing that. And until like Elon invents a robot that installs floor. I can.
He's working on it.
Yeah, I know, right? That's something I'm going to have that I can always go to and make money. So I always encourage as many people as possible to get a skill, and specifically a trade, because you can always make some money in doing that, man.
Well, you're empowering yourself. Yeah. Right. When you own your skill, you own your work.
Right.
So a good example for myself, when I started at 18, I worked for a great contractor. Loved the team I worked with. Loved the company I worked for. Fast forward about 8.5 years, the ownership decided to go a different direction. They were shutting the business down. Marion's they're familiar with some places closing the doors. Yeah. The nice thing about, like you said, investing in yourself, investing in learning a skilled trade like that is I had my tools and my skills. I picked up a job literally right away, making the same money, having the same insurance, same retirement. I didn't have that fear factor of what am I going to do now, right? And the nice thing again with all the different crafts they go through the apprenticeship program is you have options. You're not stuck with just the one contractor, if you will. You can explore and work for different folks. Yeah. And that's really nice. We just had a transplant to tell you, just come up here to the Marion area. He reached out to me. He was a carpenter down in southern Indiana, Jasper. And his wife was relocating for work, and he got a hold of me and, transitioned right up here. So his insurance, retirement, all that stuff was smooth sailing.
Stays in. And that's why it's important, them skills to have, is because no matter where you go, man, these trades are needed. You live in Miami, Colorado, Mexico, wherever you go, these trades are needed, and this is why if you get these skills underneath your belt. So every time I speak to the next generation of people, it's like, man, you got to learn a trade. You got to learn a trade, man.
Well, so I'm 42. I know that makes me feel old these days, right? When I was a kid, a teenager, I was like, 55 is terribly old. Now I'm like, that ain't that bad. That ain't that bad. It's just around the corner now. Right. But no, when I was 18, I didn't think about retirement. Yeah. And I didn't think about needing insurance because I felt invincible. I don't go to the doctor. I told you I'm married and have 4 kids. It's nice to have dental and vision insurance. You know what I mean? They go to the doctor way more than I thought I would be. But no, those things, and I'm glad that stuff was put aside for me at that point, because now it's like, man, retirement age isn't that far away no more. So. Yeah.
I get it.
Thank the Lord, there's something there. So
yeah. So, what would you say is what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? A lot of things.
Yeah.
On the business front, let me start with personal. Mm-hmm. I put a lot of responsibility on myself, and I wouldn't want to let my family down. Yeah. My wife has been very supportive in us starting this business. And I've been putting in a lot of hours, a lot of grind to get the thing rolling, and I wouldn't want to let them down, right? Yeah. But on the work side, same thing. I don't take it lightly. The people that work with us have options. Mm-hmm. They could work for a lot of different contractors. Think about it. Look around. Open the phone book. There's a lot of construction companies in there. But I want to make sure that we provide a place that they enjoy working, that they feel valued at. So what keeps me up at night is really disappointing. The clients that have entrusted us just in the short period of time that we have been in business, we have exceeded our revenue projections and goals. We have picked up repeat clients that really we had no plan of having this. We are already on track for 2025. We might, I don't want to jinx us. I probably shouldn't say it. But, we could be looking really good before the first quarter is over to exceed our projections for 2025. That's
great,
just in the first quarter. And that's right here. I mean, that's doing it out of Marion.
So that's a big deal. And that's again, man, I say this every single episode, man, but I'm doing this on purpose. People think you can't be successful out of Marion. So
it's a mindset.
Yeah, man.
It is mindset. And that's why, you talked about us getting together a couple of years ago. And I was like, I went back to the office like, guys, this dude's legit. Like, we got to get behind him because he means it. But I ain't going to lie. I've lived here my whole life. There was a period of time where I don't know that any of us, citizens included, we kind of just settled into this average. It was okay to be okay.
Just to be average, man.
You know what I mean?
So where do you think that came from? How did we get to that?
I don't know. I think getting kicked when you're down, sometimes that can be tough to pick yourself and get back up. And I think for a while, if you start to hear that Marion sucks or there's no future here, you hear it enough, you start to believe it. Man. And it ain't right because, like I said, there are opportunities here, and it's connecting with the right people and getting it done. Yeah.
So now, what advice would you give somebody wanting to open a business here or relocate their business here? How could they, be successful?
Well, let me put on my economic development hat for a minute because I think there's a lot of advantages here beyond. I mean, we picked to start here. One, property values around here are reasonable. I mean, as you look at some of the other markets, property values have almost priced new businesses out of relocating in some of those areas. Second thing is, depending on what your business is, because every business has different needs, right? But logistically, this is crossroads, right? I mean, we've got a lot of state roads. We got the interstate, a lot of traffic's through here, which brings a lot of people, but also makes, if you're producing goods or manufacturing goods, it gives you easy throughways. Rail, I hear the rail every day in the office, blowing their horn out my back window. But we still have really active rail through Marion, and not every community does. A lot of communities have pulled the rails up, and we've got multiple railways that are active through here. So I think logistically, Marion has a lot of connectivity to surrounding areas, and then property values. This is the third one's probably the biggest one. Is I feel like there is a workforce here that is hungry for opportunity. Yeah. I think there's been what I've seen, and even though we're based out of Marion, we do spend time in other communities. There's a buzz about Marion. Like when we're talking to some of our vendors and contractors, design firms in other communities, like they're recognizing like Marion's. We're on the map. We're on the map,
baby. You hear that? We're back.
We're on the map.
We're back.
But no, I think it makes a lot of sense. And you look around. I mean, you hear different developments that are being announced, different projects that are looking at things. I know some things we can't talk about just yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But there's a lot of stuff that is moving in the area that hasn't for. Well, you lived here. How long has it been since we've seen things moving?
Hey, man.
So it's good. I mean, a lot of credit to the administration for doing what we're doing. A lot of credit to community leaders for getting behind it and rallying behind it. And I think it's picking up steam. I mean,
So what's next for Ty Leming? What would you say? What I'm saying, what's next? Let's do a 5-year out. 5 years from now, what's Ty doing?
Hopefully still this.
Yeah.
Just less hours doing it. No, right. No, we'd like to, as far as the business, we do want to expand. We're not looking to become a mega contractor, if you will, like there are in some of the others. But we feel there's enough work around here. We can hold our own. But as far as, where would I like to see myself? I'd like to see our team from where we are right now about threefold as far as employees. In 5 years now, my sons, I said, I'd love it if my sons want to come back and work with us at some
That'd
point.
be
You know what I
nice,
mean?
man.
That legacy factor would be really nice, but I don't know if they're talking about military and a few other things, so that may not be in the cards just yet. But no, I really more involved in the community. I mean, there's some things I have done, and I can't blame anyone else because I did it too. I kind of sat in my hands because I'm like, well, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
Now that things are excited, I've been trying to be a little more active.
Okay.
Getting out and doing some of the different events in town. So
that's good, man. And then I just thought of this while you were answering that. What the day in the life of your position correctly is president, right?
yeah.
President of a construction company. You're obviously not swinging hammers.
No.
So what's the day in the life look like of the president of the construction company?
So for the way that our construction company is structured right now, like I said, we're in there pretty early. I like to get in there early because it's quiet.
Yeah.
And if, I told you I drove back and forth to Marion County or Allen County, so I was used to getting on the road at 4:30, 4:45 in the morning anyway, so I'm awake, so why not just get up and go in the office?
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice because we get in the office, there's a few of us that are in there by 6 a.m., and we just start the grind. We work on putting some of the estimating together, put some of the billings together. Field staff, we kind of work around what the weather does and what the sun does. So right now we're starting about 7 a.m. on most all of our projects. So 7 a.m. is when the job sites start getting busy, and that's when I start working with our staff, working with vendors, coordinating with subcontractors, but a lot of pricing. Right now there's a lot of work in the area for us to keep up with on the estimating side, which is good.
That's good, man. So, man, I really appreciate you for coming on the show, man.
No problem.
This has been a great time, and one thing that I picked up is, in order to be successful, people are important.
People are everything.
People are important.
People are everything.
People are very important. And another thing I picked up, and I'll say it again, there's a buzz in the city.
There is a buzz.
We're on the move. We got plenty of work, plenty of things that are going on. So, man, that's great, man. I appreciate you for coming on, man. Our show, Morrell Speaks Podcast, is available on all major streaming platforms. Thank you all so much for listening. Peace out.